What is going on, everybody, and happy Monday to you. Look, I wanted to kick off this week here in the world of crypto by giving you a full overview of what's happening in the news and on the charts with Bitcoin, altcoins, and everything in between. You guys know I like to kick these weeks off with a full, updated perspective on the crypto market to hopefully make some pretty solid investment decisions throughout the week to make some nice, juicy gains. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you again the news, the charts, what's happening with specific altcoins, with Bitcoin, and much more. So we have a good bit to get into today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's do it. So just a quick recap of the weekend. There hasn't really been that much going on. The last 24 to 48 hours have been pretty boring. Some cryptos have done okay, like BNB, like Hyperliquid, but most cryptos have not done much. I mean, look at the last 24 hours for ETH. It's literally 0.04% down. It's been rather flat. Now, this does also remain true for your top 100. You're seeing some cryptos doing okay over the last 24 hours and some cryptos not doing that great, but nothing substantial. I think Hex is the biggest performer with plus 21%, but outside of that, again, the top 100's also been pretty boring. And funnily enough, if we even just bring this to the 101 to 200, although it does get a little bit elevated, it's also kind of boring. 200 to 300, there's Vine popping, but outside of that, everything else is pretty boring. So it's been a pretty boring weekend here in the world of crypto. Now, this does, of course, not really surprise me all that much. We didn't get that much news, although we did get one pretty interesting piece of news, and that was, of course, the fact that Donald Trump had reached a deal with the European Union. Now, some of the key facts around this deal are the fact that the European goods coming into the United States will now have a 15% tariff, and the EU will put 0% tariffs on U.S. goods, buy hundreds of billions in military gear, make $600 billion in U.S. investments, and buy $750 billion in U.S. energy. Now, many people are saying that this has been a very kind of lopsided deal for the United States, a much better deal, especially in the short term, for the U.S. than the European Union. I'm not really going to dive too much into my opinion on it because I do think that it's irrelevant. My opinion is that there are goods and bads to every deal that are created, but one thing that is certain is that this is better than a full-blown trade war between the U.S. and the European Union, which would, of course, been negative for the world of crypto. That's not an environment that crypto would thrive in. Now, one thing that is good for this as well, for the world of crypto, in my opinion, is the fact that it does bring some sort of clarity. Listen, the crypto market does not perform well in unclear moments. When there is uncertainty and a lack of clarity here in the crypto market, we just don't see volume. We don't see liquidity. People don't like trading, buying, and holding and investing in crypto in moments in which there are just big fireworks of uncertainty going off. And the reason being is simple. Listen, the crypto market is risk on asset class. Risk on asset classes don't perform that great when there's uncertainty. They perform the best when there is certainty. And the reason being is because in periods of certainty, people are much more confident to take risks because they don't feel like that risk could be, too catastrophic if they go wrong or if it goes south, right? And so you want to see something like this, in my opinion, whether it be this deal or a different deal, you want to see some sort of certainty because it will provide more liquidity and confidence to the crypto market, which historically does lead to gains. But outside of this, there hasn't been that much other news throughout the weekend, which is a pretty common thing here in the crypto market. Now, the week ahead is a little bit of a different story, okay? The week ahead, what we have coming for the next couple of days is a bit of a different story. There's a lot going on here, okay? So let's go ahead and let's just kind of just dive into what is happening this week in the world of crypto and how I think it can impact us. So today, what we're seeing is the U.S. and China's third trade talks revolving around their tariffs and that little micro trade war that's going on now. Now, it does for sure seem like there's going to be a 90-day extension on figuring out this whole situation between the U.S. and China. Now, some people feel good about that. Some people feel bad about that. Some people like it because they're like, oh, well, we get 90 more days of the market performing well because we're not worried about what's going on there, blah, blah, blah. The other side of things, Benjamin Cohen's a great example of this. They say that, well, I don't like the fact that this is happening because it's basically kicking the can down the road. We have to address this situation. There needs to be a deal between the U.S. and China on these tariffs at some point. And the longer we delay it, the more we're just kicking the can down the road. And who likes to do that? Benjamin Cohen actually believes the reason why the Fed is not cutting interest rates is purely because this can, of many of the cans, are being kicked down the road. And he believes that when we eventually do see deals being reached, it will provide a lot of clarity from more of a high level perspective that will then give the Fed the confidence they need to make a set decision. But until there is that clarity, they won't make a decision of what they're going to do with interest rates. They'll just hold, they'll just pause. And so you can kind of see what I mean here, right? Like uncertainty and a lack of clarity not only hurts crypto from a crypto perspective and what people actually do in crypto, but also from more of a macro perspective, which of course impacts how, legislation may be passed or regulation may be passed or how these fiscal changes may change. And it's annoying, honestly. And so I kind of do side with Benjamin Cohen on this, and it's in the fact that I'd like us to just come to a deal. Even if it means it's a bad deal and it causes the crypto market to crash, at least we can have a set, clear route of what we need to do to get back to this point, rather than just kicking this can down the road and trying to boost things up and float things up to make things look good. I'm not a huge fan of that, but obviously I have no control over this. I'm just the messenger. But that is a very important piece from today, and you do need to keep your eyes on it. Now, throughout the rest of the week, we do have some pretty important, more macroeconomic things, especially here in the US, that should have some impact on crypto. I don't particularly think a ton, because I don't think a ton is going to happen, which will make sense in a second. So there's a U.S. JOLTS job openings, which is, of course, just a good metric, and that I think people look at. I don't really think they make huge investment decisions on it, but it is, interesting to see the job openings that there are out there, especially when we're considering that the labor force is a very important factor of what decisions are made here in the country. So it's interesting enough. But Wednesday is where the big stuff happens. So you have ADP employment, which is cool. You have Q2 advanced GDP, which will give us an understanding of what's expected from the GDP, which I think is important. There's the U.S. Treasury QRA, which is like a borrowing estimate, which is decently important. But the big one is the FOMC meeting, obviously. Now, the Fed is expected to hold rates. All eyes are on Powell versus Trump's tension. So we're not really expecting this big thing to happen from this. I would be shocked if they do something. They're not going to obviously raise rates, I don't think. I don't think they're going to cut rates either. Most analysts expect they're just going to stay. And I don't think that's a terrible idea on their part, right? I know a lot of people hate on the Fed because they're not cutting rates, but I do think there is something to the idea like, hey, let's see how this whole tariff situation plays out before we make a move that we might have to reverse or take back, right? I get why it's like, well, just like if you need to take it back, but stop killing the economy in the meantime. I get both sides of things. So I'm not really going to say like one's right or wrong, but I do expect that they're going to stay. They're going to hold the rates there. And I don't think that's really going to impact the crypto market at all. I think many people expect that. That is, unless they change something, unless they do make a move, I don't really think the crypto market's going to feel it, but it is a very important thing to pay attention to, of course. And interestingly enough, it is Ethereum's 10th anniversary. And of course, there are some, there's the US DAWG, or the Digital Asset Working Group report, which of course may include strategic Bitcoin reserve proposal. I don't think it will, but it might. So it's worth paying attention to. And then going into Thursday and Friday, there's some more, macroeconomic things that are important. The BOJ's interest rate decision, they're probably just going to hold as well, which they have been a little bit recently. There's core PCE inflation, which will give us some information on what the inflation data is looking like. Hopefully we're trending downward still, but we could start to see these tariffs, tensions and stuff start causing some impacts on inflation. So worth paying attention to. And then of course there's the Trump tariff deadline, which the tariff letters will be sent, which will give us a lot of information about what we need to know from this tariff situation on August 1st. So there's a lot this week, okay? There's trade tariffs, there's earnings, there's economy week, there's crypto policy week. One thing I'll just skip past is MicroStrategy and Coinbase are reporting earnings. Probably not going to have a huge impact on crypto, but it is important to pay attention to, okay? So all in all, a very important week ahead of us, guys. I mean, there's a lot of big stuff going on here, and it is extremely important you pay attention to it. So with that in mind, let's kind of shift gears a little bit now, and let's talk about what is happening on the charts, starting with Bitcoin, and then we'll go into altcoins as well, okay? Now, before we get into it, guys, you are going to hear me mention a lot of things in this next section about, trading and technical analysis and all that, and I will let you know all of the trading that I personally do is over on BTCC. It is an exchange that you can use down below. If you do check out my affiliate link, which is down there, you're going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses and up to 40% in lower trading fees. It's one of the best exchange deals that there is on YouTube right now. The ability to get $10,000 in bonuses to start trading with today is absolutely nuts. And in this market, you could turn 10K into 50K or 40K or 100K. I mean, it's very possible. So check out the link down below. Let me know what you think. There is an explanation video going over the benefits here, and there is a tutorial on the exchange here. So feel free to check it out. Let me know what you think. But again, let's move next into what is happening on the charts. So starting off with BTC or Bitcoin, I think what's happening here is incredibly obvious, and I don't really think it's going to take me that long to explain, okay? So what's happening with Bitcoin right now is that it is very clearly, in my opinion, creating a descending parallel channel, a descending parallel structure, especially here on the 4-hour charts. If I just turn off that background overlay, what you can see is that Bitcoin is quite clearly now put in 1, 2, 3 highs, confirming it just a couple hours ago, and it has put in 1, two lows, confirming it just yesterday. Now, what this means is that Bitcoin is creating what historically is a bullish structure while getting rejected off of a macro resistance zone. You guys know we're watching the $121,000 level. I said when we can break 121, that door up to 139 opens up wide. And I'm not saying we're for sure going to go there, but it is definitely a possibility, so it's important we watch it. And so the fact that Bitcoin is trying to break through a massive level of resistance at $121,000 while creating a very bullish structure, I think is a very good sign for Bitcoin investors. I think it's well within reason that Bitcoin could use this very structure to try to make that move back up above that $121,000 level. The question is, does it happen? One, and two, when does it happen? So let me go over both of those. So obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future. There's no way for me to actually know. But what I can say is Bitcoin has been giving us the signs that it is going to try to make this move. Now, historically speaking, I've noticed anywhere from like a 75 to 85% chance that when Bitcoin creates a euphoric high like this, runs into resistance, and can sustain into a very non-slopey, like this isn't a very deep sloping descending channel. This is a very sideways descending channel. When it can create a descending channel of this nature, it has a 75 to 85% chance of breaking towards the upside. Now, when you pair that with the fact that Bitcoin's price is starting to see its daily RSI reset, for example, you pair that with the fact that the crypto fear and greed index is currently kind of getting a nice little reset here. It's not still sent up into the over extreme zones, right? Whenever you pair that with the fact that the Bollinger Bands have had a decent chance to reset, as you can see with Bitcoin heading back to the 20 simple moving average on the 4-hour charts. Same thing for the daily Bollinger Bands, as you can see here. It is now back at the 20-day simple moving average. When you pair all of these things together, I think Bitcoin's giving itself a phenomenal chance of being able to break out of this descending structure towards the upside. And so I would actually hold it to be true that the historical 75 to 85% odds of this thing breaking upwards are accurate. And so I would assume that's how this is going to go. Again, it's just an assumption. And if we get some terrible US-China news, yeah, we're going to nuke straight to the downside. Don't get me wrong. It's news over technical analysis every single day of the week, but you can't ignore the technical analysis because these things do give us signs and clues, okay? And so with that in mind, my opinion here is that Bitcoin has a very strong likelihood of using this channel to break up back towards $21,000 and try to clear that macro level of resistance, which could be the very thing we need to break up towards 130K. So although we are trending downwards and the market's not feeling great for the last couple of days, I do think Bitcoin is in a phenomenal spot. I think it's in a fantastic spot, and I do expect that we will be able to use this over time to be able to break back up towards the upside, okay? Now, with that in mind, the next question that I said is, well, when does that happen? And the bad news is there is no way of knowing. It's absolutely impossible to know just how long these descending channels can last. Now, one thing that I have noticed, and this is purely me just noticing it, it's kind of like a very preliminary idea that I have had, is that the length of the euphoric run has given us some sort of context as to how long this move could last. Now, I know this sounds stupid, but it is an interesting point, and it's something that I've noticed recently. And what that means is that whenever you take this run that it's made right here, and if you give this bad boy a bit of a rotation, you try to just maintain it, what you'll come to notice is that that same length from the bottom of the move to the top of the move, applied from the top of the move to the now time frame, it often looks like it. Like the time frame looks very similar. And again, it's very preliminary, but it has been just an interesting thing that I've noticed. Because whenever I've noticed these moves, I'm like, okay, like how long can this last? And I'll kind of just go here and I'll start to just drop this bad boy down. And then whenever I start to drop that bad boy down and I try to maintain it, which is very difficult to, these lengths start to look very similar. And so what I would say is I don't think it's going to last that long because the move upwards didn't last that long. But the truth is this could go on for years. It won't, but it could. And so I'm not trying to play the game of, okay, how long is Bitcoin going to do this? It's more just, okay, what do I need to do in order to play Bitcoin correctly right now while it's doing this? And then when it eventually breaks out of this, then I'll make my next move. So I told you all in the last video, my game plan for Bitcoin right now is to just trade the range consistently. Scoop the lows, take profits at the highs. It's worked multiple times already. As you can see here, it's worked again just since that last video. And so if Bitcoin's price does decide to say pull back towards some of these lower levels, of course, I will scoop the lows. Stop loss is set below the channel with enough room to give it a wick, right? Enough room, very low leverage, 3 to 5x, and I'll let this bad boy run. And I'll enter into my long trades. I'll DCA them a little bit as they get a little bit lower. I'll set my stop losses low enough to give myself wick room, and then of course I will try to trade that range until it changes, and that's what we did previously. As you guys know, we were previously in a macro descending channel back here from, of course, like May all the way to July, and that's what we did here. We scooped the lows twice, we took profits twice, we played this range perfectly until it eventually broke out, at which point we were able to start taking profits off our long-term return back. So I'm just going to repeat what we did back here, up here, until something changes. So Bitcoin is very simple. It's the very easy game plan to follow. And I think this is actually a great thing for the crypto market as a whole. Because as I start to now focus on altcoins, what my honest belief is that Bitcoin is still in control of the market. It's just losing control of the market. For example, if we look at Bitcoin dominance is still pretty high at 61%, but it's clearly starting to lose structure. It's clearly starting to lose strength. It's clearly starting to lose momentum. And if you even go look at the altcoin season index, let's see if we can do this. The altcoin season index. Here we go. Let's get this bad boy pulled up. You can see here, like, we're not in altcoin season yet, but we are definitely getting much closer. And what this means is that no, Bitcoin's not fully in control of the market, but it definitely still has some control of the market. And the reason I think that's an important preface before we start talking about altcoins is that if Bitcoin is positioning itself for what could be a nice move upwards, if it could be setting itself up for growth, the likelihood is that if Bitcoin's moving upwards, the alts will be moving upwards as well, especially as we're getting closer and closer towards what could be a little altcoin phase here in the crypto market. And so to funnel into the world of altcoins, I would say Bitcoin possibly setting up for a positive move is a great thing for altcoins. Now, when we focus in on the world of altcoins, we are seeing some very good signs from a macro perspective. I think the most important sign from a macro perspective, in my opinion, is actually what we're seeing over on Google Trends first. So if we head over to Google Trends, I want to show you this right now. I want you to just see this. So when you go to altcoins and you just go to the past 5 years, it might be altcoin with no S, but I mean, you can kind of see it. People are searching for altcoins and they're searching for altcoins in a higher capacity than basically ever. Now, I do think this personally looks weird. Something about this looks off. I feel like this is too high. I don't feel like more people are searching up altcoins right now than they were back in 2021. But nonetheless, people are definitely looking them up again, and people are surely interested in altcoins again. We're seeing a lot of growth in the world of altcoins right now. And it's not even just from like your big altcoins. It's not even like your top 10. It's going all the way down towards your microcaps. Like if we look at the RWA sector, which I thought was extremely interesting, the RWA sector, while the crypto market's not been performing that great, over the last 24 hours has been holding up incredibly well. And yeah, it's seen a little bit of a pullback today. But when you look at the 7-day performance compared to the rest of the crypto market, you're seeing the RWA coins absolutely smashing it. And you guys know I added one recently in my portfolio, Epic. I'll tell you about it later. But like even this one is holding up extremely well over the last one day. And look at how like RWA is performing. It's interesting, right? So it's not just like people only care about macros. They even care about micros right now as the altcoin market has started to develop. Now, the next interesting thing that I've seen from the altcoin market that I think is a good sign, so I guess this is the third thing, first Bitcoin, second Google Trends, third this, is the fact that the altcoin market has now officially opened the door for a massive move. As you all know, I'm a firm advocate that the golden Fibonacci zone is the most important technical chart or technical tool or whatever you want to call it that there is in crypto. I don't think many other indicators are as reliable as it is. And what you all know is that when a crypto is capable of breaking this golden box after making a retracement upwards, it opens up the door not only back up towards its previous high, but usually much further past it. Historically speaking, when a cryptocurrency is capable of breaking through this golden Fibonacci zone, it opens up the door to what's called a Fibonacci extension, and which means it goes up past the high, past the recent high. In this example would be the altcoin market pushing up to 1.99 trillion or 2.52 trillion. I don't think it's coincidental that your two major pushes upwards are going to be perfectly in alignment with two huge psychological levels. $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion. And that is where the altcoin market is facing. It's looking at it now. Now, does this mean that the altcoin market is for sure going to make a run up here? No. But what I am saying is now that we're above this golden zone, the likelihood of it being able to make this move has gone up dramatically, incredibly. And I would say it's even higher because we did get rejected. We saw the altcoin market get rejected off the golden zone, come back down, create this little cup and handle pattern, break above it, and is now trying to use it to make that move upwards. And so the altcoin market is positioning itself for an absolutely ginormous move. The question is, will the news, will regulations, will geopolitics, will macropolitics, will macroeconomics, will all of these things allow for it to happen? Will the liquidity be there to make this move? That's the big question. I think so, but obviously only time will tell. So when I look at Bitcoin, when I look at Total 2, when I look at Google Trends, everything is telling me that although the altcoin market's not been in the best place for the last day, the last week, hell, even the last month has started to kind of pull back a little bit from the 100% gains on everything that was in. Although things are cooling down a little bit, I don't think this is the end of the run for alts. I think, matter of fact, this could be them just starting to get started, but obviously, again, only time will tell. This is only technical analysis. It's news over technical analysis every day. What happens in the news will impact our TA, but it's important to watch the TA because it can give us the clues we're looking for, okay? And so with that in mind, from a macro perspective, yeah, the altcoin market's looking good, but let's dive in and let's look at some specific ones and do a little bit of rapid fire technical analysis on ETH, Salana, SWI, XRP, XLM, and a couple more. Now, in this next section, you are going to hear me use a bunch of terms and phrases that you may be unfamiliar with. Fibonacci zones, extension zones, technical analysis, indicators, RSI, Bollinger Bands. You're going to hear me say a lot of this stuff. If at any given point you get confused, don't worry. I have a link down below to our free playbook. Again, it's actually free, not fake free, fake YouTube free. No, it's actually free. It's linked down below. If you go sign up to the link, enter in your information, I'll email it to you. And it's a big old document. I mean, everything you hear me talk about in these videos is there. Everything about TA, fundamental analysis, trading, everything. Okay. It's hours of content. It's available down below. It's completely for free. So go check that out if you do get confused at any given point throughout this video. Okay. So first and foremost, again, let's just dive in and let's talk about what is happening with, let's start with Ethereum. Okay. So looking at the Ethereum's price is doing exactly what I told you guys it was going to do. I said, listen, Ethereum's price is now broken through the golden zone. I told you this just a couple days ago, not super long ago, less than 2 weeks ago. I said, now that ETH is broken through the golden zone, the door is open not only for a move back up towards the $4,000 level, but the door is now open for possibly a move up to $5,500 and $8,000. Now, it's not a guarantee, and it failed to do it back here. It failed to make the move right here. So again, I'm not saying it's for sure going to do it, but the likelihood was there. And it is still in my belief that Ethereum's price can push up towards 4K, and it's basically done it. If we go look, I mean, ETH topped out at $3,940, getting front run a little bit by early profit takers now. But ETH is making that move that we've been talking about, and I told you the golden zone is the determining zone. If ETH could break it, the door opens, the door is open. Now, sure, ETH might want to come back now, right? We are starting to see that bearish divergence for ETH. So at some point, it may want to come back down and try to find some support before trying to make this move upwards. But ETH, just like the rest of the altcoin market, is clearly positioning itself for what could be a massive move. The question is, again, will the news and the liquidity allow for it to happen? That's the big question, but ETH is looking good. I personally wouldn't be going big on ETH right now. I wouldn't be longing ETH right now. I would be doing the opposite. I'd be taking profits off ETH or just holding ETH. I'd be doing one of the two just because ETH is high. It is giving us bearish divergence. It is extremely overextended. We are seeing, if we turn on the battle signals, you are seeing a lot of bearish battle signals starting to go off right now, which could imply that the bears are starting to gain strength here. They're gaining momentum. You need to be careful because the last time it happened was right here. And although we ran a little bit more, a massive pullback followed that. And the time before that was as we were starting to peak back in the 2024 timeframe, right? So again, this isn't like the battle signals don't tell you exactly when the top is. They're just saying, hey, the bears are starting to slow this thing down. They're starting to take control. You need to be extremely careful. And you can see historically what happens when those signals go off. These little pullbacks oftentimes do happen, just like we saw here and then followed up there. So ETH, yes, it is pulling back just a little bit today, but all in all, it is making the exact bullish move that we talked about. And I do think, again, the door up towards, say, $5,500 is wide open. It just has to get there. It either runs straight up, or I think maybe it pulls back a little bit. We wait for the Q3, Q4 pumps to come. Maybe we make that run. That'd be the ideal scenario. In another world, we just never see it. It obviously crashes. I just think this is the least case scenario here. I don't think it's likely that ETH is just going to nuke again and fail to clear $4,100, but time will tell. Moving over to XRP. XRP also making the exact move we spoke about. So XRP's price, I mean, it's just beautiful for what it's done, right? I told you all XRP's price was in a descending channel. This confirmation right here told me everything we needed to know. We had 3 key points of resistance. I told you all XRP needs to break through this descending channel, break through the golden zone. If it can do those things, I think XRP is going to push back up towards this previous high and open up the door to $4.13. And what do you know? XRP's price breaks out, clears the golden zone, and immediately sends it up towards this previous high. Tries to get close to that $4.13 level, topping out around $3.70 though, so not quite. Now, this isn't a super shocking thing that it is pulling back a little bit right now. You got to think, it just set a new regional high. It just broke the golden zone. It just broke the descending channel all in one move. So that was a lot of bullish momentum needed. A lot of bullish energy was used to make this move up here. So it is no surprise whatsoever to see XRP starting to reset, but it's resetting extremely well. If we look at the 4-hour RSI for XRP, what you'll actually notice is that it got a massive reset all the way back down down towards the 29 level just after this little pullback towards the golden zone. So I think XRP will try to continue this move at some point. I just think we're in cool down mode right now. That could bring XRP's price all the way back down to like $2.50, but it wouldn't concern me because, again, I do still think we are in play for a move towards these higher levels. Just time will tell, obviously, if the news will allow it, especially throughout this week with FOMC data, all that good stuff. Okay. Now moving over into Salana. Salana's being a little bit of a slow bird these days, but it is still holding up pretty dang well. I am kind of on board with the idea that Salana could very well be creating that cup and handle pattern you've been seeing all over crypto Twitter. I said crypto Twitter, crypto Twitter. I do think it is well within reason that it could be creating the structure, and this structure would open up the door for a move back up towards 350 or 310. But the truth is, I just don't care about this sort of macro structural analysis. When I look at Salana, what I say is, okay, it needs to break the golden zone. Where is it struggling at right now? It's struggling under the golden zone. And so what do? I watch the golden zone. And I know it probably gets annoying to hear me say the same things over and over again, but the truth is you can look at your MACD, you can look at your RSI, you can find divergences, you can do what you're going to do. But the truth is, historically, when cryptos break these golden zones, they pump. When they don't, they dump. And it's just how this goes, and it's one of the easiest things to pay attention to. Because yes, I see it. I see the cup and handle pattern. Yes, I see it. I see this ascending triangle that's being formed here. Yeah, I see all of these things. And that's cool. But all of these things are being formed and created and structurally aligned to either break or don't break the golden zone. So I'd rather just cut all that out and just watch the golden zone, right? We are starting to get some battle signals printing here on the daily charts, which could be a little bit of an implication that this is a really hard zone for Salana to break. That's not surprising. Of course, whenever you run up to a massive zone of resistance like this, you're going to see those bearish signals going off, especially on the 4-hour, right? You look at your 4-hour charts, let those battle signals load in. You can see what happened. The closer we got, the more those signals started printing, just like right here before this pullback, just like right here before this pullback. And you could say just like right here before this pullback, but only Salana knows whether or not we'll be able to get that move. And the question is, do we get the break of the golden zone or not? So for Salana, I'm in full pause mode. I've taken a little bit of profits off the table, knowing this is a massive zone of resistance, and I'm just letting it play out. I do really like the fact that Solana's price has pulled back so much on its daily RSI, because it does tell me that even if it does need to pull back, I don't particularly think it has to nuke in order to see a reset. It might just need to come back to say like 160, 150, try to use some of this more micro support to try to continue upwards in this a little weird ascending channel it's in, right? So for Salana right now, the goal remains the same. Break the golden zone just like XRP did, just like Salana did, or just like ETH did, I meant. And until then, I'm not super interested until I can see that happen. And that's the play. That's the move for Salana. When I look at SWI's in a very similar situation, just a little bit elevated. What you can see here is that SWI's price is currently sitting at the top side of the battle zone. The golden zone, which tops out at $4.28. We're about 24 cents below that. We were for a short period of time above it earlier today, but it did fail to hold it, which is not shocking at all. And it's why I tell you all the time, let the close happen. Let it break. Let it get above it. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And what do you know? SWI's price is now pulling back, confirming that this breakout has not happened yet. The door is starting to creak open a little bit. I think it's starting to creak open a little bit right here, but it's definitely not been swung wide open. So please be very careful. SWI's price has set this high, set the higher high, but it is showing us bearish divergence here on the RSI as it is trending downwards, which just means, again, that this is a very difficult level of resistance for SWI that we're sitting directly below. So let SWI break 428 before making any other moves, unless it does start to pull back, and then obviously we can make some downside moves. But for the time being, I'm not buying for by any means for any reason. I'm not opening up any long trades on SWI. I'm simply just letting it play out. Can we break 428 or not? And if the answer is no and we start to pull back, then I'll decide what to do on these support levels. I'll update you as that does play out. Guys, also, by the way, all of these cryptos that you see me talking about right now, Salana, XRP, all that, I talk about them on Instagram every single day. XLM, SWI, Salana, XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Epic, HBAR. I talk about many cryptos every day over on Instagram. So feel free to check the link out down below, because that is where I'm going to actually be updating you on a lot of this TA you're seeing right now. Okay. Moving on, we got two more, XLM and HBAR, then we'll talk about some of our microcaps. Same thing goes for XLM. XLM is in the Fibonacci golden zone. It's in a battle right now between 49.4 cents and 40.9 cents. It's stuck here. It's tried to break it up here. It failed that resistance. It got rejected down. You can see those battle signals started going off as we got within this golden zone, which is a signal that the bears were stepping in and fighting back, which does, of course, imply that this pullback would happen. This is a normal pullback for XLM. It's trying to hold in here. Even if it doesn't, I don't care. It might come all the way back down to 33 cents. I do think XLM XLM will try to hold that support and continue upwards. So for XLM with me right now, it's like, no, I'm not doing a lot of buying right now because it is pulling back a little bit. And we are in a macro zone of resistance while we are seeing the bears pushing the price down. All in all, though, I still think it's a very strong crypto. I think the door up towards 85 cents is still well within reason to be broken up to. So for right now, it's just like, all right, I'll just let XLM just do its thing, go sideways for a bit, try to break this golden zone. If it gets rejected, I'll probably DCA in here, maybe even open up some long trades with stop losses around 30 cents. I'll update you if I do, and just try to play this puppy back to the upside. I think XLM might still be just getting warmed up, but again, only time will tell. One of the biggest things for me, though, is this RSI. RSI is resetting extremely fast on a more sideways move, typically implies that a bounce upwards could come. So I'll update you there, but looking pretty good. And last but not least, same exact thing, HBAR, golden zone, trying to break it. Top side of a golden zone is 32 cents. You know what to do from here. Let it break. If it comes back down, I'll tell you what to do. So all in all, I think you get the picture. Most cryptos have either broken their golden zone or they're in the golden zone right now. And that is going to be the determining factor of whether or not they break out or not. It's the reason why the market's not doing a ton. It's the reason why cryptos aren't pumping. It's the reason why altcoins aren't sending anymore for the last week or so. It's because all of these cryptos are trying to break a massive zone of resistance that will likely be a door to some sort of altcoin season. And so you got to understand that you can look at the technicals to get an understanding of why things are happening, right? Yes, news, very important, more important than technicals. I agree. But the truth is that when you look at the crypto market, you may think, dude, why has crypto not done anything for a week? Why are altcoins sideways? Why are they not pumping? It's because they're at massive zones of resistance that took a lot of energy to get up to. The bulls need a rest. And if they get that rest and they can find some support, the likelihood of us being able to break through these resistance zones and really get those prices pumping again goes up dramatically. So it's not just random. The crypto market is not just randomly slowing down for no reason. No, we're trying to break a zone of resistance on most cryptos that will be huge. If we do, it's just not going to be easy, okay? And so that's why you're seeing the majority of your major altcoins going sideways and stuff right now, especially even in a week like this with all this news coming up. But all in all, I will actually say that our microcaps are performing incredibly well. A couple of them are starting to feel the ripples here in the market, so I am DCAing some. For example, Simple AI, this one did get that little pullback coming up, but look at it. I mean, the truth is, Simple AI over the last month went from 0.015 cents all the way up to 0.05 cents. Beautiful hundreds of percentages of gains, and it's pulled back a bit. It's still up over 100% since these lows. And as it is starting to peel into some of these lower lows, you can see that energy starting to change. Even as the volume is sustained, you're seeing that energy start to change. It's kind of peeling to the right a little bit here. And the reason that's so exciting and interesting is because this could be it trying to set that higher low before trying to make that rally back upwards. I think Simple AI still is delivering a ton of products every single week. And so because of that, I have no reason to believe these micros won't continue to do well. Look, I mean, it's up 66% still, and again, in the last month. And so, in my opinion, although Simple AI is one of the ones that is pulling back, I still do believe it is performing well. We just need to give it some time to cook. I mean, let's look at Epic Games, for example. This is one of the bigger ones that I've told you guys about recently. Look how this thing's performing. Yes, over the last one day, it's down 5%. But when you go out to that month, this thing is holding up extremely well. And guys, it's only $64 million market cap crypto. This is a small crypto in the grand scheme of things in the RWA space, yet it's holding up ridiculously well. If you compare where Epic is right now to Ondo, which is one of the biggest players in the RWA space, this thing is, dude, a 66x would get Epic up to Ondo. So who's to say that this thing that is holding up extremely well in a period just like this, where most cryptos in their same exact position don't perform well, who's to say that Epic couldn't hit a 10x or a 15x or a 5x? Like, who's to say those hundreds of percentages of gains can't happen if the altcoin market does really start to pick up? And so this is a good sign to me, right? When the altcoin market, you're seeing most macros hitting major resistance zones, slowing down, not performing well. The fact that Epic is a great example of one that's holding up extremely well in a moment like this, it tells me that it could be a great, option, a great tribute for whenever the market does start to push back in the right direction. This thing could easily 3, 5, 10, 15x out of nowhere. Again, it's still a 66x from the market cap of Ondo. So I think there's a ton of potential there. And these are the sorts of things I try to tell you guys. In moments like this, where the altcoin market is boring, but it's not nuking, you need to be looking for opportunities, because these sorts of cryptos can be where those opportunities are. Now, listen, they're microcaps. They're risky. You might lose everything, but you also might not. So if you're risking $100 to possibly make $1,500 or $2,000, of course it's worth a try, in my opinion, if it matches your investment portfolio and your risk profile, right? So Epic Games is one I've been very impressed with. I am still holding that bag. Qubit, another one. Look at this. The last 7 days, not only has it stayed up up. It stayed in the positive over the last 7 days. Even throughout this little pullback, it's still holding up well. Look at the 1 month. We had this nice little rally, holding up extremely well, still maintaining that $8.5 million market cap. This is a niche that I don't even think's been tapped into yet. Quantum computing, yet people are still starting to hold this thing, talk about this thing, and their price is holding up well, even after they've had all the crazy whale stuff, all that. They're still doing extremely well, and that's what you want to be looking for. These sorts of cryptos that can hold up well in moments like this, because when things start to turn around, when this market starts to turn around, the microcaps that showed their strength in bad times showed their beauty in good times, and that's what I'm excited about. So overall, yes, is the crypto market in a weird spot? Kind of. It's slowed down a little bit. Some people are bullish, some people are bearish. People don't really know how they feel, but the truth is the crypto market's in a great spot. Bitcoin's in a great spot. The total altcoin market cap is in a great spot. ETH and XRP have already broken their golden zones. Solana, SWI, HBAR, XLM are trying to break their golden zones. We could be opening up the door for a beautiful move here in the crypto market. The question is, again, will the macros align? Will macroeconomics, geopolitical events, will all of these things actually align to create an environment for crypto to thrive? That's the biggest question, and that's, I guess, the big puzzle that we're all trying to solve here. And so with that in mind, I'll keep you guys updated as to what goes on this week and how things play out. Again, over on Instagram, I post these sorts of updates every single day, going over all of the cryptos that we've talked about. And don't forget that if you do want to start trading on any of these cryptos you hear me talk about on the channel, Bitcoin, Salana, SWI, many more, you can go get up to $10,000 in bonuses to start trading with right now, today, with that link in the description. But overall, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you guys do like these beginning of the week updates, please do let me know down in the comments. Tell me if you think they're valuable. What could we talk less about? What could we talk more about? I'd love to hear your opinions down there, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Oh, go download the playbook, by the way. Peace out, everybody.